Welcome to the Fantasy Football Garage. I'm Chris. My friends call me the Candyman. You already know what time it is. Tonight, we're drafting a best ball teams. It's the big board. It's the NFL 2026 pre-draft best ball tournament. 200K to first, $200 million in prizes, and about a quarter million entrants. This thing, it's still early. We're still in that first week since the open. It's only about 8% filled. I've done 6 so far, and I'm pumped. I'm gonna do some tonight. We'll do at least 2. I'm thinking maybe a third. I know they go a little bit longer with the 20 rounds, but the 20-second clock also kind of helps. And I've been crunching some new data. I've been looking at the wide receivers in finer detail from last season's results, weeks 1 through 17. I've got some new insights there I want to share with y'all. I've done a lot of rookie research over the last couple of days, been looking at some of the top NFL draft analysts, the top mock draft writers over the last half decade, and some of their early NFL mock drafts are already out. So I've incorporated some of that data. I'm building a confidence model on first round picks versus second round picks and beyond. Really, anyone mocking right now is really doing a first round, and maybe if you're lucky, you get a second round. So we have limited data on which players really honestly could go in the second round in their team fit, but I've got some of that to share with y'all today. We're going to rip some big board drafts. If you're new to the channel, if you're watching this for the first time later on, make sure you're subscribed. I've got a goal to hit 1,000 subs before the start of the NFL season, and I think we can do it, but I need your help. It doesn't cost you anything. It's free. Please support the channel. Get in here, say what up in the chat. Let's have some fun. Come draft with me, and let's talk some ball. We'll get better every day. Without further ado, I'm hitting enter on this big board right now. If you want to jump in, I'm going to throw it to the intro. When we get back, it's go time. But overall, it's like the guy can ball. Like, actions speak louder than words. Man, I'm pumped up. I'm so pumped. I'm excited to be drafting a big board tonight. I got to update the intro a little bit. We can maybe get some new clips in there. Some of the new rookies that I'm excited about. We can update some of those other our favorite players from any of the highlights from 2026. That's on the to-do list for sure. But yeah, happy Thursday night. Happy Thursday night. We made it. It's almost Friday. It's almost the weekend. Hope everyone's doing well out there. Shout out to Jeff, aka Money Ain't a Thing. Yo, what up, Dark Side Dev? How we doing, brother? And then Jeff wants to know before we rip this big board that just filled, says golf question. Yeah, and shout out. We had Nez on the show last night for our weekly Wednesday golf best ball drafts. We did the Albatross. We ripped the Underdog Open, the weekly battle royale format that came out with this year for the farmers. We talked farmers data. We talked Albatross majors only. And it was a really fun time. So make sure you check that one out. If you're into PGA, if you're into that kind of content, make sure you go back and watch that one for sure. And we tackled a ton of these kind of questions. I've got the 101. I'm feeling good. This is my first Bijan Robinson team, my first 101 draft so far in the big board. But Jeff says, what was more impressive, Rose's bogey-free 10 under on the North course or McGreevy bogey-free 6 under on the South course? I say McGreevy. I do too, Jeff. I would agree. Both very impressive. I was listening in to some of the broadcasts today. I need to go back and watch the highlights. I was following the featured groups. I was following Kepka's group, Shoffley's group. I mean, Oberg was looking bad, man. Couldn't hit a fairway, couldn't make a putt. So, but a fun first day at the Farmers. Looks really nice out there in San Diego this time of year. And yeah, let's kick this draft off. Bijan Robinson, easily the 101. Makes so much sense. Give him some more touchdowns. The touches were there. The yardage was there. We all know what he's capable of from a talent standpoint. Get this man some touchdowns, a capable offense, and he can have a fantasy season, maybe that we haven't seen since peak Christian McCaffrey. And McCaffrey still had a very, very good fantasy year last season, of course. And I think he's getting a little bit, I don't know, maybe he's getting a little, he's, the hype isn't there for him that you might expect after a huge season. I mean, he had the highest floor of any running back and had a pretty solid ceiling as well. Not too bad on the touchdowns. A player that I really didn't realize how touchdown driven their fantasy points last year was it was Derrick Henry. I was kind of going back through that and looking at that. Derrick Henry, I mean, what was it? Was I have it right here, but 18 touchdowns. Let's pop over there. Updating my wide receiver data in the meantime, but 16 touchdowns. It was 16 for Derrick Henry, total touchdowns, 17 for McCaffrey. JT had 20. Gibbs also had 17. And yeah, Bijan only with 11. So some of the data that I've been crunching more recently, I'm looking at this is touchdowns as a percentage of the running back's fantasy points. So McCaffrey got 29% of his fantasy points last season from touchdowns. That's 63rd percentile among running backs. Look at Bijan. Only 20% of his fantasy production came from his touchdowns, 29th percentile. So that's complete opposite end right there. But then you have some guys who are really touchdown dependent. Jonathan Taylor, I mean, he scored a ton of touchdowns, so it's going to inflate his number a little bit, but more than a third of his fantasy points came from touchdowns alone. If he can't repeat those touchdowns in 2026, there's a little bit of a risk there. So doing some sensitivity to these running backs and the risk of being able to repeat 20 touchdowns and what's that mean for their fantasy production next season. There's moving parts, right? Daniel Jones injured, maybe not ready to start the season. Is the offense is capable without him and so on. And a lot of moving parts. Another guy that stood out to me was Achan. Only a fourth of his fantasy points came from his 12 touchdowns. So that's kind of that's more similar to Bijan right there, where an upgraded Dolphins offense, maybe a new quarterback, who knows, can he have a 15 to 20 touchdown season and be the top fantasy scorer in the running back position? We've also got Josh Jacobs was pretty touchdown dependent. I'm on the clock. Boom. Just like that. We're ripping through. I think I do want to go George Pickens. And then I'm going to flip back to my wide receiver tab that I'm still kind of in the works on. I like Pickens. I've got him in that top group. Olave is pretty fine up there as well. Or do I want to go with Chase Brown? Olave or Chase Brown? I think I'm cool to go with Olave. I think I'm going to let it hit Olave. I think he can have a nice season. He was kind of getting hot towards the end of the year there. Running back wise for me there, I think there's just guys that I like later on that I can still get. Chase Brown, Olave, kind of I don't know. I haven't really figured out my 1-for-1, which players I prefer. This is my first time drafting from the 101 on the big board. So I'm going to go Bijan, Pickens, Olave. I feel like that's just covering my bases. And I know there's running backs that I really like at this 4-5 turn that typically can fall to that range. When I've had a couple drafts in the 2 spot and I've been getting a lot of running backs in the 4th and 5th. And then receivers just seem kind of deep as ever. So we'll see what comes back around there. Pickens did look good last year. Better than CD, you could argue. I think CD might be, and I'm a big CD Lamb guy, but as I go back through the data, and one thing I'll show you guys here, he might be a little overrated here in the middle of the first round. Maybe he should be going at the 1-2 turn or kind of in the early second compared to what we've seen out of some of these other players. So as I go to my wide receiver data, CD Lamb, I'm going to have to scroll down a bit to find his name. He only played 13 games. He had, I think that's 8% of those 13 games. So that's got to be like one game where he scored more than 20 points. And then 2 games where he scored more than 17 points. Half his games with more than 13 points. That's about 6, right? That's about 7 games. So, kind of a big down year for him, the injury. Pickens, on the other hand, almost a third of his games were more than 20 points. Incredible stealing that we saw. I don't know, man. You gotta make a stand somewhere. Where's the value? We see CeeDee Lamb right now going ahead of guys like Drake London, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Rashee Rice, all players that, uh, had a higher percentage of their active games with, 20 or more points or even 17 or more points than CeeDee Lamb did last year. I think part of that's the injury, but still, Jameson Williams is a guy that pops in the data for me based on his pure ceiling. AJ Brown as well. Olave's there. And then Garrett Wilson's a guy. He never got a 20-point game last season, but 43% of the time of the 7 games we saw him, so I guess it's a small sample. 3 out of the 7 games, he went for 17 or more points. More to dig into there, more things to figure out to dig into, but I think we can take advantage of these early ADPs that are still a little bit attached to last year's drafts until we get more news, the free agents fall, we understand the coaching more. Obviously, we're not going to know where the rookies go in the big board, but I think there's going to be some shifting of these early round picks relative to one another. So, can we figure that out before it happens? Is what I'm trying to look into. Coming back around, pick 48 and 49. I'm cool with Devontae Adams. I'm pretty cool with Harvey. I like Swift. If I go back to my wide receivers, like Buka, Moore, Christian Watson does pop. I might go for him. Sutton, T. Higgins, Michael Wilson. And then for the running backs, I like Swift a lot. I might take Swift over Harvey even. Harvey was 90th percentile. I might get them both. I might just take them both, actually. Harvey was 90th percentile. He had 12 touchdowns. That made up a huge amount of his total fantasy points. So with Devontae Adams going there, Dunze, McLaurin, Cortland Sutton's interesting to me. A little bit underrated. I'll take the risk on Harvey. I do like Harvey. I wonder if they don't re-sign J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins wasn't so effective. Harvey is a risky upside pick, but he was producing, 1 fantasy point per touch, which is really, really high. 40% of his fantasy points, though, came from those 12 touchdowns he scored. But on almost a sample of almost 180 total touches, like he was getting work. He was getting volume. He almost had as much work as Ashton Genty, who only had 207. Sorry, that's fantasy points. God, wrong column. I was going to say, Genty had way more touches than that. Genty had almost 300 touches. Harvey did have 177. Caught myself there. But with Harvey, I think there is an opportunity for him to get more workload going forward. And we knew he was a touchdown merchant coming out of UCF. So that rung true in 2025. He had a bunch of touchdowns. Really is what was driving his value last year. Is it repeatable? I don't know, but I think he can get more touches as well. And it's a good team, good offense. Dobbins probably out of town, going. I take Swift a good amount. Swift is up here high and only 10 touchdowns, 250 touches approximately. So 5 of his games, he put up more than 20 fantasy points. And I guess people are just kind of sleeping on DeAndre Swift. Maybe they're tired of him. But to me, DeAndre Swift as the lead back, the clear 1A, and it's not even close. Monangai is a backup. He's not the 1B in my mind, and that's what the data shows too. Monangai had some nice games. He had some big runs, but that's what a backup running back can do that. We don't call Algier the 1B to Bijan Robinson. And not that Swift is, Bijan Robinson exactly, but that's a better comp than I think some of these other tandem backfields. Could be proven wrong. Maybe Monangai takes over a little bit more of the role going forward, but he's not as big of a pass catcher as Swift is. Ben Johnson utilizing DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift has his best year in the last 4 or 5 years. So I'm going to follow that up and be drafting Swift at the 4 or 5 turn. And he's one of my top, pretty much for me, he's like a top 10 running back. And he's getting drafted outside the top 18, 20 running backs. Yeah, what's up, Green Bean? Yeah, I think so too, Dev. CD Lamb in the second round can make some sense. Should not be higher than Drake London. And I'm leaning that Michael Penix does come back and gets healthy and can be the quarterback for them again and has maybe a better third year, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Wide receiver wise, I don't know exactly who I like in this range. The 6-7 turn. It's not my favorite spot. Hit the quick refresh so the app catches up to our pick. That wasn't the quickest refresh. Sutton is still there. Fingers crossed. If Sutton's still there, it's a smash. Michael Wilson, I think, is all another good pick. Alec Pierce, I probably want to fade a little bit. Brian Thomas, I'm interested in. Okay, I am easily going to take Cortland Sutton and Michael Wilson. Cortland Sutton here falling way past ADP. He's been a bit of a faller as I've been tracking the big board ADPs. I'm going to scroll down. Here we are with Sutton. He's been falling, but I think he's a great pick here. I almost took him the last round. The other guy I want to look into real quick on my data. So Michael Wilson pops, obviously. Sutton, borderline top 20 wide receiver. And then Michael Wilson. Do I want to go Brian Thomas? Almost certainly not. Yeah, it's definitely Michael Wilson. Next up, on this list, like Diggs is further down, and to me, it has more age-related concerns. I think if Waddle's there, he's a guy that I want to get more of. He's been getting pulled up, though. I'm pretty sure Waddle was gone, right? Waddle's been going. Yeah, Waddle went in the 5th. So 6th-round wide receivers. You can get a guy like Cortland Sutton, I think, is a good pick there compared to Marvin Harrison looking for his breakout behind Trey McBride. And honestly, the arbitrage there on Michael Wilson to me is pretty nice. If Brissett comes back as the QB, that makes it, for me, even more interested in Michael Wilson, which was one of his favorite targets. So doubling down on the Broncos, this would be a nice team to get Bo Nix on if I can get him. I feel like Bo Nix should be going a little bit higher than he goes, honestly. Otherwise, it's a Bijan, George Pickens, Chris Olave team. We could do Shuck later. Dak might make some sense. Penix would still make sense on this team with Bijan, and he's super cheap. Caleb already off the board, paired up with Swift. Swift caught, I want to say 40 catches last year for DeAndre Swift. Swift had, I guess I've got it in another sheet, but Swift was catching balls. Pierce is high. I was really, really in on Pierce, and he's been falling. His ADP's been falling. I was super in on Pierce, my most drafted wide receiver last season when he was a, round 16, 17, 18 pick. Even then, I would chase him up a little bit if he was going earlier. But this year in the 7th round, I think that's pretty steep. And I know he's a free agent. We'll have to see how that changes. Jeff. Yo, what's up, Emo? How we doing, brother? Good to see you. Hope you're having a great week, my man. Hulk Smash. Good to see you, my friend. Hey, Steve. What's up, brother? Two Mules. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Thanks for being here. And we're in here. We're in round 8 of this big board draft. I'm in the 1 spot, so I'm feeling lucky today. Yeah. What's up, Jason? Happy 2026 draft season all. Got Anthony, my man, best ball on call. Yeah, Steve's the man. Hope you had a good stream, Steve. Good to see you, brother. I just put the kids down and I'm ready to rip some drafts. Let me. Yeah, what's up, Darth Carter? Peanut Punch. What's up, brother? Let's get ahead of this next pick. I got to figure out what to do here at the 8-9 turn. Keep my eyes on the quarterbacks. Do I just want to go Dak here? Probably. DJ Moore, I think, is interesting as well. I like Dowdle fine. Wandale kind of pops for me, and he's a free agent, right? 97 is not a bad place to get Nix either, and I think I bump him up. So I think here with the team that I've got, I'm good at running back with those 3 for now. My wide receivers feel good with the 4. Tight end, pass. Tight ends don't matter. Let's go Dak Prescott. Boom. And Bo Nix. Just hammer these mid QB values. So I've got the Dak to pick and stack. I've got Harvey with Nix and Sutton. Feeling pretty good. DJ Moore, maybe a little bit undervalued this year. This is the cheapest we've been able to get DJ Moore essentially ever. And more on that. Something I haven't really made up my mind yet, but as I'm starting to look at the wide receiver data here, DJ Moore pops. 16 games, 19% of those he had more than 20 fantasy points. A fourth of them he had more than 17 fantasy points. So super low floor, super high ceiling, DJ Moore. Isn't that what we want in best ball? The high ceiling at a reasonable price. Yeah, so that would have been 5 of his games. He scored more than 10 points, which is crazy. But in those 5 games, 4 of them were more than 17 points, and 3 of them were more than 20 points. So 3 20-point games, very respectable. Garrett Wilson didn't have a single one. Nico Collins only had one 20-point game. CeeDee Lamb only had one. Quentin Johnston only had one. That one big week he had. So more numbers to crunch, more stuff to get into on the wide receiver side. I'm just starting really putting that together like I did my running backs. So I'm starting to form some more opinions. Interested to see what y'all think. Yo, what up, Putt Daddy? Good to see you, brother. Happy Thursday, everyone. Happy Friday, actually. I mean, it's like 10 p.m. East Coast on a Thursday night. It's essentially Friday. It's essentially the weekend. P Punch says Pierce was my most drafted in mini contests last year. 0 for 40 this year. Yeah, I clicked him in a slow draft in what round was that in? I mean, it was probably still like around the end of round 7 or like in round 7. And I didn't feel great about it, but it kind of fit the team I was building at the time. So I'm gonna have more than 0, but I'm with you. I think the price is too steep right now. I love Alec Pierce. Hulk says I debated asking Underdog to add Heidenreich and a few others, but I decided to save me from myself. You guys are funny. And then Jeff says, yeah, the rookie running backs, avoid them rounds 3 through 13. I'm gonna share with you guys some of my rookie research after this draft wraps up and before we start the next big board draft. I've got some things to share, some mock drafts. I've been reading some articles that have come out in the last, 2 weeks. And so I've got some insights I want to. Oh, Gainwell goes. Gainwell is like my favorite click in this range. I think he's a smash pick. But some things to share with y'all. Yeah, what's up? Will Sanders, how we doing, brothers? Yeah, the zeros hurt more for DJ Moore and managed. 100% feeling that. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Godwin, I think, is a good value where he's going right now. Oh, man. No idea who I like in this range. Picks 10 and 11 back to back like this. It's probably Goddard, probably Bill, Jawan, almost certainly. Sadiq, I think, is a fair pick. Jake Ferguson makes sense on my team. I think I do want that. Let me go ahead and take Dallas Goedert first, and then on my wide receivers sheet, I'm gonna go find Jennings. I know he's somewhere around here. Not really a great spot to be. 40th wide receiver, so I might pass on Jennings. Who else are my options? Bill, Sadiq, Ferguson. No, Ferguson was legit to start the year last year. I think I am going to tap Ferguson here and just roll with that. Sadiq, whatever. I'll get some Sadiq at some point. Bill's a guy I need to figure out what to do with. I forget who I asked this. I asked somebody on their stream if we're still drafting Bill Krosky Merritt. Who was it? Who did I ask that? And essentially, it's a mixed answer, but here we're gonna find Bill, aka JCM, aka Ja'Cory. He had the one spike game with 26 points. I think it was a 3 touchdown game, if I'm not mistaken. He had 8 total touchdowns, 83rd percentile in percent of his fantasy points coming from his touchdown. So he's not like he wasn't doing a whole lot with the yardage. Only averaged 53 total yards per game, so it's pretty low. On 171 touches, only averaged 0.78 fantasy points per touch, and it was really elevated by those touchdowns again. And then what's going on with Washington? Whole new, you know, whole new thing going on there, whole new backfield. So Bill, maybe we let him fall a little bit. I'm still interested. I just don't know about the price and like the relative trade off. I've been going a lot later tight end, but I'm pretty confident getting Goddard and Ferguson here. And I think it goes well with my team too. I get the stack with Ferguson, the double stacked for the Cowboys, and then Goddard. I mean, pretty underrated right now. And I said that last year. Goddard was my most drafted tight end last year. We were getting him essentially in the same ish range of picks. Yeah, yeah, they can't add any players to the player pool as well. Oh, Travis Hunter's a guy I think is a really smart pick in this range. Same thing with KC Concepcion. I like that pick. I think there's a chance he goes to like the Buffalo Bills or the New England Patriots in the first round of the NFL draft. So Concepcion, I think, would rise a ton. We know the Bills are going to draft a receiver. We know it. There's only one Bills receiver getting drafted on the big board right now. It's Khalil Shakir. And how excited do you get for Khalil Shakir? Even Dalton Kincaid's going at pick 100. So reading the tea leaves, reading the draft board, the Bills are either going to sign a splashy free agent receiver. Who could that be? Not sure. Or they're going to draft one and probably pretty early in the draft, maybe even the first round. So I think that makes sense. If you're looking at the board and you're going, where are all these Bills getting drafted after uh after Cook goes, there's no Bills for a while, excluding obviously Josh Allen. I'm talking about skill position players. Shaheed to me is interesting. I draft too much Jerry Jeudy, so I'm going to save y'all. I'm going to keep pushing him because he's falling a little bit. I draft plenty of them. Does Darnold fit this team? Not really, but I like Darnold's price too. I might just throw Darnold in there and call it a day at quarterback. Shuck must be gone. Yeah, Shuck's gone. He was my other stack that I would have considered and prioritized. For me here, I'm looking at receivers. I like Shaheed. Jeudy is also a good click here. Troy Franklin might be the one. Let's go Troy Franklin. And then I'm thinking Darnold or one of these other receivers. Let me find Shaheed super quick, and then I'll hop back into chat and see what y'all are doing. Shaheed's down on the list. Otherwise, it's Jeudy. He's down on my list here too. So let's go Sam Darnold if I got it. Bang. Definitely got it. I love when it stalls like that. You just know you've played the system. 3-3-5-2 build through my first 13 picks. I'm done at QB. I've got Dak Prescott, Bo Nix, and Super Bowl MVP Sam Darnold to be determined. Nice to get a little slide on Darnold too. Bijan, DeAndre Swift, Harvey. I hate the late round running backs, so I'm in an interesting predicament here. If I can figure my way out, I really do need to start coming back and barbelling these running back picks. So I took 3 in my first 5 rounds, and now I went in the middle rounds. I got some more receiver depth. My QBs are done. My tight ends could be done. I'll probably grab a last round tight end just because it's 20 rounds. If it was 18, I might stop at those 2. Franklin, I think it makes a lot of sense on this team. And then let me highlight, some before I forget. I'm definitely good at this rate on Broncos. I know I can get Marvin Mims late if I wanted to. The Seahawks, maybe I should have double tapped Shaheed and Darnold there instead of Franklin. Franklin had a great year. Barner's interesting later. So is Torrey Horton. Even Cup would make sense. Technically still on the team next year, as far as I know. Cowboys, we could look at Ryan Flournoy, although I've got plenty of 3 Cowboys. I've got 4 Broncos. I think I need to probably prioritize these Seattle picks a little bit. And the running backs. And I hate like all of the remaining running backs. They're all speculative. Jordan Mason, I loved him last year. He got a shot. He blew it. Vidal could be interesting. Shaw Tucker's good for 1 game, but I don't know how interested I am. Singleton's going to come back around. I like that. With Quinshon Judkins coming off the injury, Samson, I think, is a very interesting pick. Probably I have it like this. I'm okay with Vidal. He was good on the Chargers when he got his chance to shine, but how much does that change, going forward? Brooks is a guy I don't want to forget about. Otherwise, Emmanuel Wilson's technically a free agent. I feel like he's kind of nice. I don't know. I don't know. Adam Randall, last round pick, could be fun. Getting some hype on him. I've seen some dynasty guys be talking about their tiered rookie ranks, comparing the rookie class and the sophomores, the rookies from last year, and how they all tier out together. The land guys, the fantasy land guys, were talking about that recently on their stream, and so getting some perspective of kind of where these quarterback like Ty Simpson, where does he fit in? I think he's underrated. I would take Ty Simpson in this draft, and I want to get more Ty Simpson if I didn't already have 3 QBs. Okay, I got to focus on these picks, and then I will catch up with y'all. For me, I could probably double tap running back here. Is there anyone else I like more than Vidal? And then a just pure shot on Brooks. A speculative pick on Brooks. I do think the Saints draft a running back, and it could even be Jeremiah Love with their first round pick. I'll take a chance on Vidal here. Barner to me is an interesting pick. I think an interesting fit, an interesting pick, a red zone target. Will Brooks still be there? I'm gonna go Brooks. Tight ends don't matter as much. There's a lot of late tight ends that we can grab. Even the little bit of value in the stacking from Barner to Darnold. Getting a running back who could actually like be a usable flex for me, I think, is more important at this point in the draft, and to get my 5th running back. So I feel good there. A 3rd tight end. I spent a lot on tight end, so I'm gonna probably keep pushing that. What do y'all think about that? Singleton went right before me, so did Rashad White. I like both of those guys. With Vidal, close out of this. Vidal's way up here. Only 12 games where he was active, right? But in 4 of those, he had 17 or more points. And in 2 of those, he had 20 or more fantasy points. He had a 21-point game, was his biggest game. Didn't average a whole lot of fantasy points per touch, but he didn't score a lot of touchdowns, only 4 touchdowns. And I think respectable. He had some respectable numbers. Going this late, I think, is totally fine. And I'm gonna chalk that up to scheme, offensive environment, the team. I think if he's not on the Chargers, we're more skeptical of his ability, of course. But he's shown a little something. I think he's draftable. Yeah, I like Ferg in general. I think Ferguson had a really hot start to the season last year. Though I am drafting Gainwell. Gainwell's going to be my most drafted running back this year. You just wait and see. Yeah, Darkside says Bill was supposed to play with JD. That's really why I wanted him last year. Exactly. With Jaden Daniels' injury, that was just the re-injury, the world's like smallest violin for us all. Jaden Daniels fans, truthers. I had bags of Jaden Daniels and Commanders in general because I was going for that approach, investing in that offense, the Commanders offense. Travis Hunter could be a trap, but at the same time, Here he is popping off. For me, he only played 7 games, but what is that? Just like one of those games, he had a 20 plus point game, and all the rest of them were less than 10 fantasy points. So pretty disappointing. But Parker Washington only had 120 plus game in 15 games. So to me, Hunter is more impressive than Washington. And sad state of affairs for Brian Thomas. Jacoby Myers, too. 15 games, 0 games with 20 points or more. Brian Thomas was the ultimate letdown after his impressive college career, his rookie season. And I think I still want to draft Brian Thomas. I haven't done it yet. So there's always someone in the draft who likes him slightly more than I do. It's enough to, I can't even see him here. I'm looking for Brian Thomas. I know he went somewhere relatively early, right before my pick, or no, right after my Michael Wilson. I mean, I'm always going to take Michael Wilson ahead of Brian Thomas, which seems crazy to say, but it's not that crazy based on our results from last season. And especially if Brissett stays in Arizona. I mean, he's not that he goes back there, if he just is the starter there again. What do I need? I've waited on wide receivers for quite a while. I think now's the time to strike. I could do a guy like Jeremy Bernard. I think he could be a second round pick. Other than that, I'm out on Trey Harris, out on Al Minor. Mooney's a free agent, isn't he? So it gets pretty thin. I might just stack up my last wide receiver picks with the teams that I've already drafted. I'm on the clock. Tight end, Mason Taylor. I like Njoku here. I think I will take an Njoku. That gets me to 3. I still have three rounds left after this, though. I'll go Njoku first. Running backs, I really don't care about in this range. No one's like popping off the page to me. And then wide receivers. Unfortunate that Torrey Horton goes the pick before me. I would have drafted Horton there. Cooper Kupp, Flournoy. I'm going to throw in Cooper Kupp, which seems gross, but I didn't need to do that. I can still get Flournoy later. It's a really heavy team stack. Maybe should have gone Flournoy there. Let's dive into some of the data. Okay, Kupp. We know he didn't have any huge games, so maybe that was a big mistake. I'm in the wrong sheet. No, I wasn't in the wrong sheet. Just lost my formatting this far down. I need to drag down the formatting is all. That's not a good sign that he's that far down there. And I already knew it. I didn't really like that pick, but at least I get some kind of stack on him. There's so many more wide receivers than running backs who are somewhat relevant at some point for a game. So the list goes way, way further down. Cooper Kupp in the 90s here. Now I can't find him, but let me find him again. No, he's worse than that. Damn. Why'd you guys let me draft Cooper Kupp? I'm blaming the chat on that one. Unfortunate. A little bit of recency bias, I guess, just seeing him play. But it's a last round. I mean, we're in the later rounds. Doesn't matter too much. There's not a whole lot of upside, though. Him versus... I should have taken Flournoy if I was thinking ahead. I can't spell either. Flournoy, actually still like a top 50 wide receiver. Actually had a game with more than 20 points. It was pretty late in the season, if I remember correctly. Or maybe it was the middle of the season, but should have drafted Flournoy. Apparently, Keon Coleman's not dead. He's worth like a late round pick, potentially. I'm not going to take him a bunch. Who else is here that I wouldn't expect? Jalen Naylor. Interesting. I feel so good about my running backs with my first 3. I'll probably stop at 6 and will go 8 wide receivers, considering I just drafted Cooper Kupp and he's essentially a 0. So wasted pick. Vele was in there. Vele was in the data. That's a name that I hate to click, but I can convince myself with the data that it's not the worst thing. No, it's pretty bad. No ceiling. The last ceiling guys are like Trey Tuckers, Dontavian Wicks, Dobbs, of course. Mitchell, who already goes, Keon Coleman, Flournoy. So Keon Coleman's going to be there. Who else did I say? Dobbs is gone. Mitchell's gone. Wicks, is Wicks still a bit? Wicks is there. Wicks is always there. I still have 3 picks left. It feels like the longest drafts ever, these 20 rounds. Wicks is draftable. Hey, look who it is. It's Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, 2 players that didn't eclipse 20 points in any single fantasy game last season. Incredible. Jalen Naylor gets higher in the results. Renfro's funny because he pops there. He only played 6 games, but one of them he scored over 20 points, which is pretty funny. I'm on the clock. Bernard. I've done it everything besides running back and receiver. I'll take Jeremy Bernard here just for good measure. I think it's kind of a fun click. He could go in the second round. And then do I want to smash Adam Randall? Versus anyone else here. Caleb Johnson, just a huge letdown. I'm going to go Adam Randall to get him. And then just wait and see who's available at wide receiver with my very last pick. Because it's pretty thin already there. And running backs only gets worse. So I'll take some rookie upside. Yeah, Parker only a starter after Travis Hunter got injured. So yeah, that's an interesting point because I mean he still was playing snaps early in the season, so he's getting counted in the game logs. But you're right, it is his performance was back weighted to a smaller sample of games. So if we cut the season in half, we would see some kind of different results for him. I have to keep that in mind, and I kind of like intuitively know that when I think about Parker Washington and those weeks that he had down the stretch. But I don't know. And he's a young guy. I mean, out of Penn State, right? I've had him in Dynasty for a few years, and he's been a nice Dynasty best ball piece because you don't have to know when to start him. You just like let him pop on your bench. Coleman gets drafted. Coleman goes in the 19th round. Not too big of a surprise. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Jeff. It was in the middle of the season. I knew it was. I couldn't remember exactly when it was. I remember when it happened, though. Yeah, what's up, OTRS13? How we doing, brother? We're assuming Mahomes is good to go week 1, right? I think so. I think so. I go back and forth because 2 reasons. I don't know if he'll be ready to go week 1, but I think we've got time. But also, in these drafts, we're waiting our production for the back half of the season. Week 17 is all that matters. The later half of the season matters a ton. You got to get there, right? But so I think this is the cheapest we've ever been able to draft Patrick Mahomes. He goes in this draft at pick, what is that, 85? So in the 8th round, you don't really get him cheaper than that. I think it's a fine place to take him. Like if I have this team had Rashee Rice. If I have Rashee Rice, I would be drafting Patrick Mahomes kind of right where this guy did. I don't know if I would get Trevor Lawrence though. I probably would. I get that you're stacking with ETN. I do like that. But then to go Parker Washington super early here with Trevor Lawrence, I guess it's just a big bet on the Jags. I would probably just wait for Mahomes and then get later QB. You won't see me drafting much of Keenan Allen or Calvin Ridley. Ridley, the artist formerly known as Calvin Ridley, he's gone. And then Keenan Allen, I think I just don't expect him to repeat this based on the age concerns and getting replaced in the offense. And his production was weighted more towards the beginning of the season. So I don't know. I think it's time to give up on Keenan Allen for me. I've been a huge Keenan Allen fan for too long. I mean, he started playing when I was still in college, so in the NFL. So that's just a sign that he's been here way too long for fantasy. I don't think we have to draft him. Like I said, Ty Simpson should be getting drafted. I don't know if he's going to be the Tyler Shuck of 2026, but he's definitely not the Jackson Dart. He could be something though. I think Ty Simpson goes and then the first round to like the Jets or they're not in the end of the first round. Or maybe he could go to the Jets. I think that'd be early. I think he goes to like the Steelers at the end of the first round. That's who I was actually imagining. And we'll talk more about this real soon after this draft. I am going to take Wicks here. I just think that I can get something out of Wicks. I can get 1 week out of Wicks. You like Wicks or Naylor? Let's just go Wicks. Boom. There's the squad. I kind of like this team. I think it's always interesting being in a new position on the board kind of early in the season and trying to feel it out. What happens on the left side of the board over here? It's a fun one. Two Meals says had a bunch of Wicks last year. A lot of Royals. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. That's funny. Sometimes one of the lessons that I learned 2 years ago in best ball was not to be overweight any one player just for the injury concerns. Even if they like underperformance is one thing, but I was 30. Technically, I was like 39% Nico Collins in Best Ball Mania for 2024. Looked really good for a while. Then he had 6 missed games with the hamstring, and those teams started to fall. And he wasn't the guy you needed anyways in week 17. So just it's more about the opportunity cost if you're so overexposed to a high draft capital player that if they miss a lot of time with the injury, they're going to tank a bunch of your teams that otherwise might get through if they're a little bit more diversified, and just the opportunity cost that if you're taking, for me, if I'm taking Nico Collins at the 1-2 turn every single time, I'm probably underexposed to guys like London or back then, or like even other receivers that were going in that range that are probably pretty comparable, and in a given week in a 1-game slate could have a similar outcome, and the difference is like negligible from like a DFS perspective. So I'm trying to stay wise in those regards. My most exposed player this year across all my tournaments, I only want to have like at most like 25% of, and they're going to be a later round pick too. Maybe get slightly above that if they're really still are like such a late round pick, but I don't have so much conviction that I know better that I'm going to get to like 30 or 40%, even on the late round picks, just because the injury risk. Underperformance is one thing, but then just like that opportunity cost, the guy gets injured and all of a sudden there's a guy like a Puka Nakua in the last round or even Kyron Williams in like the last round, and you didn't get any of them or enough of them because I was, drafting a certain other player too much. Same time though, I mean, big risk, big reward. We're going for home runs. So all things considered, who needs Mahomes when you can have Pro Bowl Shedeur Sanders? Yeah. Can you guys believe that? Pro Bowl Shedeur Sanders. I saw someone, I forget what it was exactly. It was a pretty funny like tweet, or someone made a comment that was they're like, can you believe that Shedeur Sanders got snubbed from the Hall of Fame? Just combining the Belichick news. I can 100% believe that Bill Belichick got snubbed from the Hall of Fame. The dude was notorious for cheating. So and we all know. Like my wife, she sees, if I say anything about like the Patriots going to the Super Bowl, her reaction is, who, the cheaters? Because she still remembers back to the Tom Brady days, Belichick days. I'm like, no, this is a new group, got a new quarterback, but even she knows the New England cheaters. Kazitz, what's up, brother? Mike Washington Jr. every draft in the 20th. Yeah, I'm learning more about Mike Washington. I'm about to jump over and do show you guys some just really quickly, show you guys about my like the rookies and the mock drafts that I've been looking at, and we'll get into some of that. Mike Washington is a name that I'm learning more of. I don't know a whole lot about him, right? So I'm learning more. Capital costs were minimal, couldn't resist. Yeah, 19th and 20th rounds. I know the feeling. Yeah, Jeff. Dad joke of the night. When I heard Belichick wasn't in the Hall of Fame, I felt so deflated. Womp womp womp. Okay. In this one, a 3683 build. And generally, I think the way that I'm doing it, I'm either going to go 3683 or I'm going to go 3773. Rarely will I take. Well, I mean, what's the point of just sticking with two tight ends when tight ends are essentially free? Chig Okonkwo, you still could have gotten him. You could have gotten Jatavian Sanders. To name a few, there's not that much left, but even the last round, some guys were going. So if you have access to guys like that, why not just grab a third? Even Waller was pretty impressive for a couple games, right? So those are the kind of builds I'll do. I'm almost always going to get 3 QBs in 20 rounds. It just helps so much. To me, and one thing I was saying on Twitter recently in a thread, I was commenting back and forth with someone, having a very nice conversation. If you don't already follow me on Twitter, follow me on X at FFB Garage. Where is that? Where is? Oh, there it is. Boom. Show banner. Go. So on X, I was talking with someone and we were talking about like 2 versus 3 quarterback. To me, and this is a strategy I used to use in the past. Oh, I drafted Lamar Jackson. I drafted Brock Purdy. I'm done at 2 QBs. Wrong. Completely wrong. That would screw you last year. They're both injured at the same time. Drafting 2 versus 3 QBs has nothing to do with draft capital or talent. Just because you take Josh Allen and then at the very end of the draft you get Tyler Shuck doesn't mean you have to stop with 2 QBs. I'm way more of an advocate for 3 QBs on most of the teams for the resilience to some of those injuries and just giving you more stacking options and giving you more outs in the playoff weeks that one guy gets hot or has a big, Trevor Lawrence type of game. If you go 2 QBs, I'm open to doing it. It's just riskier. I want it to be a smaller part of my overall draft portfolio and strategy, but it can work. It can definitely be the nuts. It's won plenty of tournaments before, but I don't even care if it doesn't matter that I have Josh Allen, whether I'm going to go 2 or 3 quarterbacks. If anything, the earlier draft capital running backs, a lot of them have the rushing upside, but, might get dinged up a little bit more here and there. At least we saw that last season. There's a lot of freak accidents and quarterback injuries. Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, guys missing time, even Purdy missing a bunch of time. Not necessarily like a rushing quarterback or a very mobile quarterback, but still. So having that resilience, guys get benched all the time. Kyler Murray got benched. So I think the strategy, and then taking some shots on these late QBs, the Ty Simpson going undrafted. Why? He could definitely be drafted. You can make a case for guys getting drafted like Anthony Richardson. Does Daniel Jones come back week 1? Does Richardson play a few weeks? Does he get moved? Mariota, does he get a starting gig somewhere? He had some productive weeks. Mac Jones, I don't think they move him, but I'm not saying to grab these guys now. I think we wait for some more information, but these are all going to end up being viable picks, or some of these guys will be at some point. Stidham could have been Super Bowl MVP, didn't quite make it, but Ty Simpson's one I think to keep on the radar. He doesn't have like the college history of like starts that a guy like Shuck is going to have, so I don't think he's going to be similar to Shuck in terms of taking over their starting role and being effective at the NFL level right away. So he's kind of risky, but I think, risk reward, it's a last round quarterback pick. It could be something. And we year after year, we're always like, dang, I wish I would have taken that late quarterback. He ended up being a great value. So yeah. Yeah. What's up, Ben? How we doing, brother? I gotta get in. I gotta get some more Ty Simpson. I have not drafted him yet. I've only done a half dozen or a little bit more than that drafts, and a lot of them are still slows that are going on right now that I haven't even gotten that far yet. So I need to get some more Ty Simpson. I'm advocating for it because he's probably going to go in the first round of the NFL draft. Crazy as it is, I think he can go to the Steelers very logically. I think a team might take him randomly, kind of early in the first round. Crazier things have happened. Yes, yes. Let's look. We've got it's more about just the rookie running backs, just like the rookies. I'm going to show you guys some of the rookie stuff, some of the ADP trends, and also some of the mock draft analysis that I've been gathering from the sharps out there. Some of the sharpest mock draft analysts and writers out there, uh, as publicly scored by whatever. I forget whoever scores the mock drafts every year, but the scores come out, and these guys are the tops. Let's look at it. We reviewed this team one last time, this big board team. 3683, Dak Prescott stacked with my first receiver, George Pickens, my tight end, Ferguson, and I also got, I didn't get Flournoy. I did not get Flournoy. I should have done that over Cooper Cup. Mistakes were made. I got Bo Nix stacked up with Harvey, Sutton, and Franklin. That's nice. Sam Darnold with Cooper Cup. Yeah, whatever. Maybe I should have, I should have switched that up. But Sam Darnold's a good value there. Got him past ADP. Bijan, DeAndre Swift, who I'm going to have a bunch of this year. Harvey, I think, is a risky upside reward type of play, but he works on this for making a big team bet on the Broncos. I have Vidal. Don't know where he's going to end up. He was okay for a few games. Jonathan Brooks, still excited about. I drafted him a ton when he was coming into the league. So it's about time. We've missed 2 seasons of his play. Adam Randall could be fun. Pickens, Olave, Sutton, Wilson, Franklin, Cooper Cup, Jeremy Bernard, Dontavian Wicks. And then my last tight end was Njoku. I got Dallas Goedert, Ferguson, and Njoku. Seems decent. Seems like a fun little squad and some big play potential guys. That's what I'm going for. I'm going for upside. Hey, my man. GM Bindles coming off a hot draft stream with none other than Suss Edwards and Nick Bach winning the flex. Good to see you, brother. Dontavian Wicks, what is this, 2024? Oh, geez, man. Do me like that? Yes. Yeah. He popped off for a game. He popped off for a game last season. He had a 20-point game last season. We'll give him some credit. But Wicks, I remember where I was. In 2024 when Best Ball Mania was out and we were drafting Dontavian Wicks at pick 115. I remember where I was. I was on a stationary bike at my gym drafting Underdog Cardio Clubs going, yep, Wicks at 115. This is sharp stuff. Full on slappy pick. Like, that's like the preeminent. That's how you know. So the rookie research I put together, I'm going to share with y'all. Ooh, so bright. Can I make this a little bit better? That helps a tiny bit. And I'll zoom in too. Let me zoom in just a bit and then filter for just the rooks. Hide the rookie notes, and we'll pop those out when it makes sense to look at it. I'm going to filter this for just the rookies. So another thing I want to say, all of these Google Sheets that I'm showing you, these are databases, data sets that I'm building. I built all this myself. I'm running these formulas. I'm pulling over these ADPs, doing all this functionality built into it. They get better and better every day. Every week, I'm adding ADPs, ranks to it. Cool shit. All of this can be yours. If you're a YouTube premium member to the channel, I will share all of these sheets with you that you can save your own versions on your local sheets, edit any way you'd like, or just access, weekly when I update the ADPs. I update NFL ADPs every Monday. I update my PGA ADPs every Tuesday. And then I'm going to be doing, I updated the NFL ADPs earlier today. I'm going to be doing NFL actually bi-weekly because they just move so much more. So yeah, if you're into the data, if you want to see some ADP tracking and you want to see some of the stuff that I'm building that I've been showing all stream, one of the many perks of becoming a YouTube member here in the garage. And if anything, just like, subscribe, come get in the chat, say what up, and be a part of the community because uh, that is what we're here for. Having some fun, talking some ball, drafting teams. And I'm gonna be doing. I've got like 3 scheduled streams every week. I do Monday nights with Bindles for our Ballsy show. Season 2 is here. I do PGA Wednesdays, which is super fun. And then I'm gonna alternate Tuesdays and Thursdays doing NFL draft. So today's Thursday. Next week I might do Tuesday or I might do Thursday. I haven't decided yet. But those I post them a few days in advance, so you'll see them on my YouTube page. If you turn on notifications, you'll know when I'm going live. And then I always sprinkle in some Friday or Saturday or even Sunday night drafts if I'm feeling frisky and want to get in here. And I'm going to draft these teams. I might as well go live if I can get the house settled. Everyone's asleep. Everything's quiet. Kids are asleep. Everything's chill. Get some drafts in. Talk some ball. Yeah, Wick's not a free agent. Dobbs is, I think. Pretty sure. Here's what we got. This is just the rookies. These are the top rookies. I've been shooting this out on Twitter, posting some of these screenshots. If they're highlighted in orange, their ADP has risen since the opening of the drafts, right? So all these guys have continually risen. Jeremiah Love, Lemon, but then you have a huge, gap of guys that are actually falling in ADP. Boston went from 76 at open. He's now at 88, let's say. So a lot of these guys are falling. That's the ADP trend and what pick they currently are, approximately. Casey Concepcion, huge riser, right? Biggest riser of the rookies, easily. This, going from right to left, is their positional rank overall. So Jeremiah Love started at RB11. Now he's RB10. If it's blue highlighted, it's getting cold. If it's green highlighted, they've made a jump forward. So you see Lemon's gone from wide receiver 32 to wide receiver 30 to 28. He might keep rising, but there's some risk. I like Lemon. I think there's some risk. What if he's not a first-round pick? What if he's a second-round pick? This is a very expensive price to pay for a second-round pick in the NFL draft. He could be. Some guys are mocking him in the second round. We're going to get into that real soon. We'll get into it now. But that's what we're seeing here. So then Concepcion, he goes from unranked to 72nd wide receiver to 61st. He could be a first-round pick easily. I mean, Concepcion could be going in the 70s and 80s. He could be getting the rise that we saw for guys like Emeka Egbuka last year, who went from I don't even think Egbuka was this late for that long. Maybe, I mean, still the first week, but Egbuka was a later pick, but he rapidly kind of rose up. On the right-hand side here, so these guys don't have any snaps data, but I have the percentile of the snaps that they played across all fantasy relevant positions in NFL last season. But these guys are rookies. They don't have snap data, of course. It's all blank. ADP change is just the most recent change from Monday till today. So 8% change for Jeremiah Love. He jumped up literally 2 spots, but it's a good jump. So you can see who's cooling off. Elijah Surratt is cooling off. He's falling ADP rapidly from pick 98 to 106 to 123. 3-4 days later, he's falling hard. Avoid. Let's see where he settles. Best way to catch a falling knife is to wait for it to bounce, right? So if Surratt falls to pick 150 and then he comes back down to pick 120, that's how you'll know. That's the signal to start to sprinkle him in, even if you like him. You don't want to be buying him at his top as he continues to fall. Concepcion, on the other hand, you want to chase the risers, chase them all the way up the board. So I don't even have any Concepcion right now because everyone's snatching him before I can get there. Maybe I got him one time on one of these earlier drafts and I've already forgotten, but we need to be going after him adamantly. He's probably going to be a first-round pick. I watched a lot of Texas A&M this year because they're in the SEC, local Texas team. I've got family who went to A&M and stuff, unfortunately. And if you're an A&M fan out there, you know what I'm talking about. But Concepcion, I thought, was their best player. He's like a joystick guy. He's just, boom, big play waiting to happen. If he can hold on to the ball and not fumble on those punts. But we're going to chase him up. I think he can continue to rise a lot. What we've got on the right-hand side here, Lou Pickney, Charlie Campbell of Walter Football, Xavier Cromartie. These are three of the top NFL draft writers, analysts, mock drafters in the last 5 years, last decade. These are three of the top guys. There's a lot of guys out there. There's a lot of guys that are on ESPN, CBS, all the big sites, the 3-letter, 4-letter, networks. These are the guys who actually have the highest ranking as graded by their peers, as publicly graded, the highest number of correctness in which players go in the first round, and the highest level of correctness of which exact teams players are going to. And I think it's actually scored throughout the whole draft, but I know that the first round is heavily weighted. These are guys, another one that we're going to get into. There's plenty of other analysts, right? There's plenty of other guys, but these are some of the early ones who already have mocks out. So let's look at this. Jeremiah Love, Kansas City, first round. Blue means first round. Red means second round. If they're not blue or red, then so for instance, Lou's mock only went in the first round. Charlie's was first and second. Xavier's was only first. But that's what we're looking at. If they're red, they're a second round pick, and only one of the guys has a whole 2-round mock so far. So not a whole lot of data to go off of, but there's someone saying that Love can make it to Kansas City and to go with them. There's two of these guys saying that he's going to go to the Saints. So I'm in the camp that when I'm drafting Jeremiah Love, I'm visualizing him a first-round pick going to the Kansas City Chiefs or the New Orleans Saints. So I'm going to play him a little bit preferentially to those kind of team stacks. Jordan Tyson, consistently going in the first round. I think we're going to see him or Carnell Tate be the first wide receiver taken off the board. And it's a mixed bag, right? Rams, great landing spot. I think Commanders would be a good landing spot as well. Minnesota is my least favorite landing spot that Jordan Tyson's mocked to for obvious reasons. Carnell Tate to the Saints, to the Chiefs. So that's pretty funny because these two guys swapped, Love or Tate going to one of the Chiefs or the Saints. And then Xavier has him going to the Tennessee Titans. I think the Tennessee Titans is actually interesting, and they definitely need some wide receiver help. So all three of those landing spots to me are pretty enticing, pretty interesting. The only spot for these two receivers where someone would be like the true alpha, I think, would be Tate going to Tennessee. All of the other landing spots, there are some. They're going to be kind of a, not the top target you would suspect in year one as a rookie. Mekhi Lemon going to the Eagles, going in the second round to the Browns, which is probably actually a pretty decent landing spot. But the fact that he's going in the second round raises some concern. Going to the Dolphins in the first round. So interesting stuff there. What this tells me is I'm just a little bit more skeptical now of Lemon and if he's truly going to be a first round pick. Denzel Boston consistently going in these mocks in the first round. So is he going to get taken ahead of Lemon? Is it possible? He's going to Cleveland, which would be mocked ahead of Philly, right? Pittsburgh in the first round, or Pittsburgh in the first round, which would be after Miami. So in two of these mocks, Boston's going ahead of Lemon. Interesting stuff. But I think Boston, and he's been falling, I'm willing to sprinkle him in a little bit. I want to see where he falls to, but I'm open to sprinkling in some Denzel Boston, given he might be a first round pick and is going to be going around ADP 90 to 100 pretty soon. That's a fair price for me. That's where we're getting overpaying for Jaden Higgins, a second round pick last year, and overpaying to some extent for Luther Burden, although he was a guy you needed in week 17. So there's some luck to that, but Luther Burden was a second round pick, and he was going around this ADP last year. So there's some interesting things there for Denzel Boston. I think he's one to keep an eye on. Jadarian Price, I'm fading. Jonah Coleman, fading. Elijah Surratt, I'm fading these guys right now. Their ADPs are falling, and they're almost certainly not first round draft picks. So just in the context, right? I don't want to be too overexposed. I don't personally have so much insight on those players to know better. So I'm trying to figure it out and lean on the experts to tell me what's going on. Kenyon Sadiq, I do want some of him. He's falling a little bit, ADP, but not too much. He's mocked in the first round consistently, so that's a good signal. He goes to Carolina, Miami, or Houston. I don't know how I feel about any of those landing spots. I guess Miami could be interesting. Darren Waller's not there next year. There could be a QB change. There's coaching change. Tyreek Hill might not be there next year. So there's a lot in flux. Carolina could be fine. Houston, I don't know how I feel about that. They do lean on the tight ends, and there's something left to be desired with Dalton Schultz. But does Houston take a first round tight end? I don't think so. I think they go offensive line if they can manage it. Katron Allen, I'm going to fade a little bit. Emmett Johnson, he's been rising in ADP, but not a whole ton. Hasn't changed. He's been RB41 consistently over the last week. So more to learn there, but I'm not super excited. Concepcion, I'm excited about. He could go in the first round. He could be the first wide receiver taken off the board. Crazier things have happened. So he goes to Buffalo. That would be later, obviously, in the first round, or New England, one of the last picks in the first round. Very interesting. Very intriguing. Would be awesome landing spots. Both of those would be sick landing spots. Fernando Mendoza probably goes to Las Vegas. We can leave it at that. I'm going to draft some Mendoza. I do think the Raiders could still suck. I think it could be a bad environment for him. We saw Ginty have a rough time there last year, but I'm going to have some Mendoza. Jacoby Lane could be a second round pick going to Tennessee. So that's a pretty cheap price for a second round drafted wide receiver. His ADP has been falling pretty fast, going from pick 128 to 140 to 162, but he's getting to a range. I don't have any of them yet. I'm pretty sure I haven't drafted them yet, but I'm starting to get more comfortable with the idea of Jacoby Lane. The cheaper he gets. Singleton, we know he's going to be like a third or fourth round draft pick, probably a third round pick. Doesn't even matter with running back. It's all about where he lands, what team he goes to, and the talent's there. He's a good pass catching back. I think I'm excited about him. I know a lot of people are. He's been the second biggest riser after Concepcion. Chris Bell gets mocked in the second round to the 49ers, which I think would be a pretty interesting spot. He's been falling a bunch. So similar to Jacoby Lane, I'm going to wait and see on that. Claiborne, I've drafted once already. I think he's just already going so late. It's not very prohibitive, his ADP, his price tag. Branch gets mocked in the second round to Atlanta. That could be very interesting. I'm curious about that. Bernard goes to the Saints in the second round in this mock. He's a guy I just drafted in this last draft. So if these receivers are going in the second round of the NFL draft and their price tag is ADP after pick 150, I think they are very interesting. I'll be getting some more of them. There's Ty Simpson. I got ahead of myself because you guys, I've been waiting to get to Mike Washington Jr., but Ty Simpson, he's fallen one pick from QB 32 to QB 32, QB 31, QB 32. He's kind of back and forth. He's mocked in the first round by all of these guys. One of them has him going to Pitt. That would be later in the draft. Two of them have him going to New York Jets kind of early in the draft. So something to watch out for. We need to get more Ty Simpson and just kind of hold that QB3 roster spot open to nab some Simpson. I think it's going to be a good pick. You guys were talking about Mike Washington. So Mike Washington out of Arkansas, he's a 5-year player on 3 different teams. He just played for Arkansas 1 year last year. He's interesting. He catches passes. I want to know more. So if you got some Mike Washington takes, feel free to throw them in the chat. Another guy I just drafted in my previous big board draft that I just did on stream. Adam Randall, Clemson, 4-year guy, 3 as a wide receiver, bad. 1 senior year as a running back, good. Catches passes. So in summary, these are some of my notes. All of this data and more available to my channel members. If you're already a channel member in the YouTube channel, the premium member, you can shoot me a DM on Twitter. If I haven't already given you access to any of the Google Sheets you want access to, just let me know. Or you can always email me, fantasyfootballgarage@gmail.com. If you're not on Twitter or you don't want to mess with that, if you just want to go straight to the email, I'll hook you up. So that's what we got. I'm going to finish crunching the data on the wide receivers. I still have to write all my formulas to pull in their high score, average score, their highest weekly rank, all this other stuff that I already have for the running backs over here. Percentiles of this and that, total touches, fantasy points per touch. I'm working through it on the wide receivers, starting to bring it through. This is the all wide receiver data. So like the highest scoring game from a wide receiver was Puka Nacua last year with 40.5 points. He did it in week 16 on 2 touchdowns, 225 yards, and 3.38 fantasy points per touch or per reception. Trey Tucker had, of course, an astounding week 3 performance, and then after that was more quiet. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 2 of the best performances. No surprise there. Amon-Ra has always been a guy that I've been excited about for fantasy. You want to get more of. Drake London makes the top 5. Malik Neighbors there at 6, having only played so many games. In week 2, he still put up one of the highest scoring games from a wide receiver in fantasy last season. I honestly expected to see some more JSN up here. JSN was just like consistently very good, but not near like the top scores overall, like a ton of 30-point games, just very consistently above 20 points, which is why we see JSN almost a third of his games. Realistically, a third of Puka's games were above 20 points. Almost a third of JSN's were that way. Rashee Rice, small sample size, only played 8 games, but 3 of those 8 above 20 fantasy points. So I'm going to keep crunching the numbers, getting to the data, and making some stronger stands on my wide receiver selections as we continue to draft the big board this year. The running backs, I feel like I do have my hands around pretty good. And then I don't know if tight end matters enough for me to get into looking into the tight end data in that much depth. And the QBs I think could be worth doing, but we'll see. I might do QBs. I think I'm more interested in the QBs. Tight ends, I don't really think I'd care too much to go heavy in on. I'm jumping into another big board. I'm going to jump onto Twitter real quick and retweet out that we're live, that we're drafting. Come draft. Get in here. Let's rip some teams. Rip some drafts. Boom. And then my microphone's going to go weird, but I'm going to set up some tunes, get a little vibe going for this second draft. Let me set it up. Hope you guys are having a great Thursday night. Thanks for being here. Chilling. All right, let's go. Waiting on one more to get into this big board draft. Sadiq going to Tampa. Interesting. Where did we have him mocked? We had him mocked to Houston. In the wrong sheet. Boop. We had him mocked to Houston, Miami, and Carolina. So Tampa's interesting. They've kind of got a rotation of guys with Otten, who's not very good. They kind of got a rotation of guys with I don't know. I've seen names over the years. The Tampa tight ends: Otten, Culp, Durham, Kokeef. They've got a rotation of blocking tight ends. They're more of like a 3-wide scheme and set. So I'm not too excited about Tampa Bay tight ends. If Kenan Sadiq does go to Tampa Bay, does he play out wide? Does he play in the slot? I'm curious how that. Do they run more tight end sets? 2 tight end sets. We've got Chaz Michelson in the 1 spot. What's up, brother? How we doing? The world famous Huron River Rat in the 6th spot. Good to see you. We've got El Gru 50 in the 9. What's up, brother? How we doing? Lalsimo in the 11. Yo. Lalsimo. If you're in this draft, I didn't call you out. Let me know your username. I might have forgotten, or maybe you're new to the channel. Welcome. Okay. It's JSN. It's just Jason, which is fun. I can't remember if I've gotten a JSN team yet. I don't have to look twice, but JSN, boom, bang, way up there. Otherwise, I do like Cook. I do like JT. Wide receiver wise, I mean, I'm gonna take a lot of times. I'm gonna take in the first and second round. I'm gonna stick a little bit closer to ADP and make some stands, but not be so overexposed in the early rounds. I want to build out fun teams around players, top players. I do think I'm starting to think differently about CeeDee Lamb, though. CeeDee Lamb was my most drafted top wide receiver last year. It was him and Pickens, two of my most drafted top wide receivers in the first couple rounds. But I think I'm not going to fade CeeDee Lamb. I think I do want Amon-Ra over him. I want Cook over him. I want Achane over him. I want McCaffrey potentially over him. I think Achane is super interesting. I like that he goes to the end of the first round. If I get more draft picks in the back of the first round, I have a big decision on my hands. Do I want to go Cook or Achane? Let's go, Jason. Incredible. What's up, brother? Yeah, I'm going to flip my shit. Eddie, if Houston doesn't take O-line in the first round. You said it perfectly. Who days? In the 3 spot. Who days? Of course you are. Chase, wide receiver 1 season upon us once again. You're probably right. You were probably right, sir. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Good luck in the draft. GLGL. I think, was it 3 out of 12 advanced? So there's more than 3 of us in here. Pickens. Yes. Nodding yes. Running backs. I'm going to go Pickens. I'm going to have a lot of Pickens again. Nico Collins. I could have done Nico Collins. I think I'm at the point where I am Pickens ahead of Collins right now. Bowers. I've already drafted one McBride team, and I actually did like how that team ended up. So I'm open to early second round McBride. I got him at pick, I want to say it was 17, or it was maybe even 18. So I felt really good about it. Middle second round. Rashee Rice coming back around in the third round is sick. Very nice for the drafting the 2 spot. There goes Puka, Derrick Henry, Rashee Rice. That seems like a strong squad. Hey, Bijan Collins, Olave. Similar to the team I did last one. Do I want to go AJ Brown? I kind of do. I kind of also just want to go with a running back. I'll go ahead and take AJ Brown. There's so many running backs I could have taken there. Maybe still can't. No, I missed my pick. It's just stalling. I kind of had some indecision there. It felt like it was going on a run of wide receivers. I'm the only team with 3 wide receivers so far. I did this again Monday night. I drafted a team kind of like this. 3 wide receivers to start. And I was able to snag, if you guys remember, I got Harvey and Swift in rounds 4 and 5. I think is what... No, I had Kyron. I got Kyron, and then I think I did Kyron in round 4 is what I ended up getting. So you never know. I like the running backs in rounds 4 and 5 right now. Usually I can get some to fall to me. It's like with AJ Brown, I probably should have gone running back there. I get a top 10 wide receiver, borderline, a guy that's a stud any given week. Huge ceiling. Or from running back, a top 10 guy like Josh Jacobs, very touchdown dependent, very strong ceiling as well. Was Kyron still available, right? ETN still available, Javonte. There's still some guys available, I think. Jacobs goes Ken Walker, Bucky. Bucky on here for me is a little bit down, but chalk it up to us a weird injury year. Breece Hall for me is pretty low. Barkley for me is pretty low. These aren't like my pure rankings. These are just, it's sorted by ceiling outcome last season as a percentage of games played. What can I get into? Now it's a running back run all of a sudden. With CJ, if he decided to sit out this season for a new contract, oh god. I think the CJ Stroud hate's gone too far, but it is what it is. A bad playoff performance, even though he 3 straight seasons in the playoffs with a playoff victory. People want results, and you can't turn the ball over that many times in 2 games. So tough. Yeah, people are fed up with CJ right now. It's a tough look. It's a tough scene. I hope we have a bounce back. Ben says, I will have a ton of 4th round Loveland. I'll probably have some. I was pretty in on Loveland last year. I like what we saw in the second half of the season. I like the Bears offense. I'm drafting a lot of Bears, but I don't think you'll see me draft Loveland ahead of DeAndre Swift. So that's, Loveland for me is pretty expensive right now. Can you justify it? I think sure. Maybe I will take him just so I don't have none. It's a pretty bold statement because Swift's going like a whole round later, but there's some differences. There's a lot of opportunity cost of going tight end this early if it's not like McBride. I think Bowers had his down year. It's a bad environment. I mean, the Raiders are a bad spot to be in fantasy. You saw that with Genty last year, with Bowers to some extent. Does that continue? I want to go Devonta Smith and Zay Flowers so bad. I don't want. I'm going to go. I should have taken Travion. Oh well. Devonta Smith. The 20-second clocks will get me. Flowers, not the most enticing, but Lamar was out. Devonta Smith even worse. But Devonta's been a guy. I don't know. Devonta still put up some numbers last year. I'm surprised to see him that low. It's the lack of touchdowns. So didn't we just see the Eagles get a new offensive coordinator? Who is this guy? Do we like this new offensive coordinator for the Eagles? Who is it again? Sean Mannion. Former quarterback. Crazy. Super young. Yeah, I know Sean Mannion. Is this good? He was the Green Bay quarterbacks coach last year. Replaces Kevin Patullo. So is this good? Is Sean Mannion going to be a good upgrade for the Eagles offense? I guess we find out. Man, I'm going total piss boy start here. 4 straight receivers. JSN, Pickens, Brown, and Smith. I kind of like it. Yeah, no doubt, Jeff. Oh, Hendo goes. Houday gets Harvey Hendo. That's a fun combo. Lot of Bengals on that squad. Very nice. Boom. Anchor running back with DeAndre Swift. People forget DeAndre Swift had 5 games last season with 20 or more fantasy points. He's on the Bears. They've got a great offensive line. They've got Ben Johnson. They got Caleb Williams. A lot of talent, a lot of firepower. Think of the Lions pre-2020 5. How excited we were to be drafting. I mean, we're even last year, but I was going into it. We were still excited to draft all these Lions. Amon-Ra, J-Mo, Laporta even. Both running backs, Gibbs, Montgomery. Ben Johnson's on the Bears now. Let's get excited about the Bears. And that's why we see Burden going in the 4th round. I think that's pretty rich. I think I like Loveland. I like Burden too. I think both those picks are pretty rich. But you can get their workhorse running back, Swift, in the 5th round, I think is where I'm going to be on the Bears. And then DJ Moore is going to be there next year. Does he get traded? Maybe. Otherwise, he's there. The drafter in the 4 spot. Yeah, he probably wanted Lamar to come back around. Chaz grabs Lamar from the 1. Looks like a Joe Burrow situation. DJ Moore is dust, says Jason. Same time, though. 19% of his games last season with 20 or more points. So what do we figure that out? That's like 2 games, or that's 3 games. 3 out of 16 games with 20 or more points. I don't think that's dust. I mean, his floor is nothing. Like 70% of the time, he's scoring less than 10 points. But this is best ball. You don't have to worry about that. His price tag's never been cheaper. DJ Moore is still a stud. I'm making an argument for DJ Moore. I think he's going undervalued. I do not like what I'm looking at running back. It's got ugly fast. I do like some of the wide receivers here. I probably should not have taken Devonta Smith, given the quality of wide receivers available here. I should have gone Travion. We move on. We'll learn from that. I will go Jalen Warren here. I think he's a fine pick. Burden is the man. I think he's the expensive one. I want the cheaper one attached to the offense. For managed league, I could see wanting Burden more. Yeah. I do think DJ Moore is super undervalued right now. Kind of like FK is saying. It's just like a lower risk bet, which is part of what's confusing about the Jacksonville Jaguars receivers. It's actually Travis Hunter who's the cheap one. People like to hate on him too. So as long as Travis Hunter is the cheapest Jags wide receiver, I think I'll try to get some. I almost did it last draft. Didn't make it back to me. Bro. The board. We are in the 7th round. I've started off JSN, Pickens, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, DeAndre Swift, Jalen Warren. I get sniped on Hurts 1 pick before. I knew that was going to happen. Drafted in the 4 spot, takes 2 tight ends, and then snipes Jalen Hurts for my double stack. Yeah, I hate to see it. We move on. Quentin Johnston in this new Mike McDaniel offense. Intriguing. Yeah, I also saw our buddy Houdays in the 3 spot got completely sniped on Joe Burrow. That was pretty fucked up. Honestly, that was pretty fucked up. The double stack with Chase, Jamar Chase, Chase Brown, T. Higgins, the triple stack. And then maybe should have just pulled the trigger over Brian Thomas and gone Joe Burrow there. Hindsight bias, but I hate to see that happen. Getting sniped, and then I get sniped. Maybe I should have taken Jalen Hurts instead of Jalen Warren. Considering no one else drafted a single running back between my two picks, I don't know. What are the odds? It looks like Jalen Warren could have came back around. I felt like on this team, though, the risk of not getting my RB2 sooner than later was actually worse for this team than landing the perfect stack with Jalen Hurts. Because I still have outs on this squad for my QB, but easily late QBs, obvious. But if I didn't land Warren there, I don't love the remaining running backs. Javonte Williams was already gone. He's a guy I wanted because I took George Pickens for that Cowboys team stack. I don't really like Ramondre that much. I wasn't excited about him as much, but I think Jalen Warren's suitable. I think Monangai is one of the most overpriced players on the board right now. Nothing against Monangai. He had some really nice games last year. He doesn't catch a lot of passes. He's a backup running back. He's going ahead of potential starting running backs. He's on a good team, though, so that accounts for something. Tony Pollard's a starting running back. Had over 270 touches each of the last 3 years. The team's getting better. He goes. I've been talking up Denzel Boston. He might be someone interesting. Maybe I can try to push him, though. Hubbard might be a better fit for this team. I think it's just Dak. Although a lot of these guys have QBs. I think I just do take Dak. And then we'll see what comes back around. I don't love Hubbard. He goes. Boom, he goes. So whatever. Do I even like Woody Marks? I don't remember. Do I even like Woody Marks anymore? Well, not really. Not really at all. I guess I don't hate Monangai that much. It's just a little bit overpriced. Where did Dowdle just go? Bill's still there. Dowdle went bummer. Hubbard and Dowdle go, two guys I would have considered. But look at all the QBs that flew off the board. Almost certainly Dak would have gotten drafted as well, I would think, at this rate. So I'm glad I got Dak for my stack with Pickens. I don't think I care about tight end tier so much. Gadsden's pretty interesting to me, though. Who highlighted Algier? Get that out of here. Boston, I pick 100. If he goes in the first round, this is a nice spot for him. The team so far, through my first 9 picks, I've got Dak Prescott stacked with George Pickens. I've got DeAndre Swift is my anchor RB, Jalen Warren, my number 2, JSN, George Pickens, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, Quentin Johnson, Denzel Boston. So I'm feeling good with those 6 wide receivers. Probably call it a day on those 6 for quite a while. Do something later to get my 7th. And then I'm going to be hammering running backs before it gets too late. I thought about going Gadsden there. I would have liked actually Gadsden as well. But we were just talking up Boston. We think he's a future first-round pick in the NFL. Pretty decent price on him. He does go to next to some other nice receivers, though, like Addison, except Addison with JJ McCarthy is a complete disaster. But we love Addison. Wandale's a fine pick. He's a free agent. Jaden Reed's a fine pick. DJ Moore had gone the round before, so pick 89. That's a really solid pick there. We've been hyping him up. The 4 spot hates me. Yeah, that's all right. the Quorum ADP, I think it's interesting, coolers. Like Quorum going here at 91. This is an expensive territory for backup running backs. You know, is Tootin a backup or is he the starter? Is ETN stay? I think ETN stays. So I think it's expensive for Tootin. It's expensive for Monoguy. It's expensive for Quorum. I'm assuming Hubbard becomes the 1A again, even with Jonathan Brooks back. It's going to be Hubbard, right? Dowdle could be a starter somewhere. If not, he's like a 1B. So it's kind of an expensive spot for some backups. Based on the data last year, though, for Quorum, it could be better, it could be worse. I think he's still like a top 40 running back, and it was kind of trending up at the end of the year. He had a 25-point game, so we saw some flash, we saw some things, and I'm on the clock. Kenneth Gainwell there. You guys know me. Dallas Goedert's still there. Just a huge-ass team stack on the Eagles. Gainwell, easy money. Gainwell was like a top 20 ceiling play last year. That's what I want in best ball. Better than Saquon Barkley in terms of number of games scoring more than 20 fantasy points, which is absurd. Way better per touch. A lot less touches, but way better per touch. Almost a fantasy point per touch compared to Saquon at 0.67. So just a little bit of perspective, some things. Relative price here is so cheap. For me, kind of how I'm thinking my next pick could go tight end. I don't want to. You know, do I have any other late stacking QBs? Not really. I could use a tight end by now. I've got one QB. Do I need a second one? Darnold's been falling. Darnold doesn't really stack well otherwise if you don't have JSN, so sometimes you can push him and get lucky if people don't want naked Darnold, which I think does make sense. Baker Mayfield's still there. I have, and based on the other drafters on the side of the board, everyone has a QB. I'm a little bit comfortable pushing Darnold and going tight end. I think I do need a tight end here sooner than later. Even the RB4 right now, I'm not crazy about the options. So I think I'm just going to push it. And on this team, because I already have A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, I almost think I don't go Goddard and I do go Ferguson to complete the stack with Dak again. Is how I'm going to play that. I think 2 pass catchers for the Eagles is enough. And now I've got 3 Cowboys. Again, and this is like a very similar team to what we ended up doing in the last draft. Kind of interestingly enough. Quorum not a backup, more of a 1B. He could be. I mean, Kyron's the man for them. Yo, what up, Green Bean? Got Boston at 114 little board. He's falling. Boston's been falling this week, so you can get him later, I think. It's probably my first share of him, getting him at 100. Maybe I could have pushed that further. I'm a little bit hyped on him, though. I think he could get drafted in the first round. I think it could be pretty likely, so. Running back wise, like Tracy. Who do I even like? Vidal. Sketchy. I don't know. Oh, Travis Hunter, but then no. I don't know. We'll see. Next pick. We got a lot to figure out. Board Big Heart. You have Pitt pieces. Could try Ty Simpson team. Yeah. He could land in Pitt. So I think Gainwell goes somewhere new. I've got the Jalen Warren Pitt piece. I think he stays. This could be I do want to get some Ty Simpson. Oh, Lolsimo. Taking Casey Concepcion at pick 134. Couldn't get him this time. Strikeout for me. Unfortunate. I keep trying to get him. This is the range where I'm going Gainwell. I'm taking some tight ends. I'm going to have to start taking Concepcion at pick like 100 or something for me to get him. And I think that's fair to where he eventually goes. Sadiq does get drafted here before my next pick. I thought about him too. Double tapping tight end there. Okay. I know what I want. My heart says to do something else. I'm going to go ahead and just take Sam Darnold because the drafter in the 4 spot's been on my. He's been, sniping me, and he needs a QB 2. So he takes Bryce Young. He's got Hubbard. He's got McMillan. Maybe he would have done that regardless if Sam Darnold's available. Maybe he takes Sam Darnold at pick 148 for his 3rd QB. I'll never know. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger on Sam Darnold there. I think the difference from what I can get for an RB4 is not going to be too different going forward right now. I've made a big bet on DeAndre Swift and Jalen Warren. And then there are so many rounds left. I'm going to have to go hard later on these running backs. But sooner than later. I mean, not too much later. It's kind of getting late in the game to need a 4th running back. Yeah, Chaz Michelson also taking his 3rd running back this late, starting off with Bijan, anchoring there, and then just hammering QBs and wide receivers until Tracy Spears. Interesting. Very interesting. Shaheed is a free agent. I'm thinking I roll with Travis Hunter here. I don't know. Could have done James Conner. Let's see. Is Travis Hunter, or not Travis? Is James Conner a good pick in this range? I don't know. Rashid Shaheed's a free agent. Otherwise, he would stack up kind of nice with Darnold. I'm looking at the one tight end. I'm done at wide receiver now with Travis Hunter. I guess I'm just done at wide receiver. Not a Flournoy team. Oh, damn. No, I should have waited for Torrey Horton. Now it's not a Torrey Horton team either. Did it to myself. Yo, what's up, ML? How we doing, brother? What's with wearing the shades inside? Just curious. Yeah, just my look. Just fun. Just helps me get into my whole mindset of drafting, streaming. I just have fun with it. That's what the channel's about. I mean, we're drafting, we're taking it, we're getting into some data, trying to win some of these tournaments, but keep it simple, keep it fun. A lot of sharp people in this community too. I'm surprised. I mean, you guys continue to surprise me. A lot of sharp drafters here. Keep me on my toes, but I got to keep them on their toes too, because a lot of times in the chat you get some bullshit for some of these guys. Sometimes they're trolling. You never know. Sometimes they know better. Sometimes they don't. But yeah. Just oh my god, this guy. Nez, my man, with the 10 gifted memberships. Holy smokes. What a gentleman and a scholar. So for you guys that didn't catch the stream last night, Nez and I ripped a bunch of PGA drafts. And I mean, we're going to be shipping the Albatross. We're going to be shipping the Underdog Open this week. So he's merely just paying forward, you know, the payout that he and I are going to split in the near future. But what a nice guy. TMGM brother. Oh, too kind. The 10 gifted. And a member himself. Didn't have to do that. So kind. About to miss my pick. I'm all flustered. Barner or Rashad White. I do need Rashad White on this team. Oh, Singleton might have been cool. Nah, Singleton sucks. Don't draft him. Everyone hates Singleton. Don't draft him, you guys. Definitely not before pick 15 at least. Shout out to Nez. Appreciate you, my guy. Hey, I got to flip over to the YouTube to see who got gifted all these bad boys. I don't think it shows up in the StreamYard. Oh my God, so many. Incredible. ML, welcome. AP, Kelly, my man. Dark Side, of course. RM, shout out. Nap God. John, what's up? Jake, how we doing? TD King, Andrew, my friend. Case Dude, welcome one and all. Thank you again to Nez. Appreciate the channel support. What a nice guy. And you guys already know, sub to Badge Bros. You're already sub to Badge Bros. You guys follow the streams. Nez is going live tomorrow. He's going to be ripping some more of the Dog Bulls NBA drafts. They're getting after it. I mean, these Hooper guys. I mean, these it's a lot of drafts, and it's a lot to keep tabs on. Singleton goes. The drafter in the 2 spot has been sniping Houdays and me this whole draft, and the drafter in the 4 spot's been taking my guys. Houdays actually takes Barner. I wanted Barner. Houdays, what are you doing? What do I need? I need a tight end. I need a running back. Jacoby Lane's interesting, but we don't need like at all. Don't need wide receivers. I might go Theo Johnson. I'll take a Theo Johnson. I like the chemistry he had with Dart. Kind of an end zone threat. There are some other names here that go later that are still good as well, and probably better than Theo Johnson, which just makes it kind of crazy. But I'll just go ahead and take Theo Johnson. And then I gotta hammer these running backs. I'll wait for the very last round, most likely, to get that 3rd tight end. I think. I keep telling myself I want to draft a running back, and then I look at the list of running backs available, and it just is so bad. But it's only getting worse. That's the worst part. Yeah, thank you, Nez. Super fun drafts last time, my man. Appreciate the support. Darth Carter, I'll get my Lambo one day. Just happy to be here. Hey, just happy that you're here, man. If you're a new subscriber, throw some Lambos in the chat. Throw some yellow Lambos in the chat for Nez. Boom. A real one for sure. Hell yeah, hell yeah. So, if you're a new member, you now have access to all of my Google Sheets. All my models, all my data, whatever one you want. Whether you want the big board, ADP tracking, and rookie tracking, you want the garage tiers with the running back data and the newly added wide receiver data that I'm in the process of finishing building out. Those should be done probably in the next day or two, and probably the quarterbacks as well. I've got my Albatross data. It's some insane stuff. So if you are a YouTube premium channel member, you're in the inner circle, you're a Lambo driver now, welcome to the membership, the clubhouse. And yeah, shoot me a DM on Twitter, on X. I'll share the Google Sheets with whatever preferred email you want. If you don't have Twitter, if you don't have X, that's cool. Just email me email me. It's fantasyfootballgarage@gmail.com. I'll get you hooked up. If you're interested, if you're drafting, I'm tracking ADPs for the Albatross, for the big board, and I'm throwing in some data in there as well. So I'm having fun with it. It's stuff that I'm building for myself. So I'm happy to share it with you guys. If it helps you a little bit, or if you're interested. Man. I'm going to go Adam Randall here. Take a shot on our rookie running back. I don't know what to do. I was maybe going to go tight end there. Didn't love it. For my remaining stacking options for quarterback, there's really nothing because all of the other QBs I would stack with are gone. So that's how we'll play it. I mean, how many picks do I have left, right? There's still 4 rounds left. These 20-round drafts are just throwing me for a loop. I feel like it's never ending. Just bad picks for so long at this point. Hey, Cooler's loving the PGA streams, he says. There's so much less content going around of that. Appreciate that, my man. Hope you guys are enjoying it. It's fun for me, so I'm glad you like it too. Got the Lambos. Yeah, got to get Andrew those Albatross access. I know he's out there in the golf streets as well. Man, this is so ugly. Missile, Manny, Neil. And then tight ends just don't matter in this range. I don't even know. Boom. Welcome to the squad, Ty Simpson. Well ahead of ADP. Hope that makes a dent. Maybe tomorrow he comes out. He's going to jump a whole round based on that one draft selection alone. That reach right there. I think everyone except for the drafter in the drafter right here, in whatever spot this is, only had one QB up until they took Shedeur Sanders. Craziness. They had a Caleb, but they just kind of fell asleep at the wheel and forgot to draft a second quarterback. End up with Shedeur. Could work out. He's a Pro Bowler, after all. This is my problem, though, when I don't get enough running backs early. I really don't like the picks late. And maybe it's just I need to get more familiar with some of these rookies. I think I'm going to be taking more of the second and third year guys. Like Brooks, I think is interesting. Neil, Samson I wanted. If Samson would have been there, I probably would have not taken Theo Johnson. Same thing with Singleton. Those guys I like a bunch. Keaton Missile's interesting, but hasn't really shown enough to get so excited in real games, which is a bummer. I mean, do we take the post-hype sleeper Caleb Johnson? If Gainwell leaves and Johnson comes out, can he do anything? God, he looks so bad. And that flub he had on special teams early in the season was so embarrassing. That crushed him. I'm pretty sure Jeremiah Love's going to the Saints. But if he goes to the Chiefs, maybe Devin Neal has a role. You guys like Mike Washington? I'm open to it. We were looking at him a minute ago. Arkansas, 5th year senior, one good season at Arkansas. I'd probably go Devin Neal over him right now, but this is all just dart throws. Late dart throws. I'm scrolling. I'm going to let it hit on Devin Neal unless I can find anyone else. Anyone out there? No. And these list of... Usually I have half a dozen late running backs in my back pocket that I like to bring out. but there's just something about it this year. The running backs dry up early, and the late ones just seem very underwhelming. I'll still take one more running back to get to 7 on this squad. I think it will help me having some depth, having some more shots. I don't know that I need to get to 8, but I could. I might as well just get a 3rd tight end. Honestly, if this was 18 rounds, I would be fine with those 2 tight ends. And I would be worried about only having these 6 running backs, like a 3-6-7-2 build. So I don't know. I don't think I take 2 more running backs though. Would that be crazy? A 3-8-7-2 on the big board? Probably it's a bad idea. Just there's not that many good running backs left. I might as well just pick one of them instead of getting 2 bad ones. Stowers, Freiermuth, Okonkwo. I'm pretty chill with one of those guys. With going with one of those guys. Is Otten falling so much because the idea that Kenyon Sadiq's going to go to the Bucks, like Jeff was saying? Is there some reality to that? I'm going Manny Wilson here. I want a guy who's gotten touches, done something with them. Last season, in his one good game, Manny Wilson he had a 20-point game, put up 25.5 points. And I think he was RB2 on the week. So I know he's a free agent. Maybe they re-sign him. I think Emmanuel Wilson is a guy who I was drafting a little bit of last year too, and better than probably a lot of those names that just end up doing nothing for you. Yo, Who Hames, what's up, brother? That's what I was gonna say too. It just reminded me. Coolers streaming with Who Hames earlier today. Don't think I didn't see that. Coolers, my man. And Who Hames, good to see you, brother. Hope you had a great stream. Who Hames has been getting after it. Getting after the streams, you know, on top of all the players, the new rookies, the free agent, you know, potential landing spots, coaching changes. So Who Hames and I are going to have to connect real soon. Get one of these big boards in together. My man's killing it. Always good to see you, Who. And if you're new to the channel tonight and you're not also subscribed to Who Hames' YouTube channel, go check him out. He's drafting best ball teams practically every single day. And much earlier in the day, you know, this is like the late night kind of the night owls. We're burning the candle at both ends right now. We're getting them in when we can. Who Hames goes on at a very reasonable time of day. So I love throwing on some Who Hames stream and getting to hear him a little bit when I get the opportunity. I'll lurk. I like to lurk in there because I'm usually multitasking, or sometimes even I'm driving home. Ooh, a pick goes here. Malachi Fields is an interesting pick. Seen that name come up. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the tight ends because a few of the ones that I wanted dried up there. Freiermuth would have been nice. I'm cool with the Okonkwo. I don't mind it. If he goes, I probably just do go JT Sanders and call it a day. But I'm not so excited about that. Like, would I rather have Gesicki? What a letdown. What are the options here? Maybe even Komet. Or just have some faith in Waller. Okay, Okonkwo's still there. I think that's where I'll go. 3 straight years, over 50 receptions. There's at least a baseline. Who Hames? Yeah, Coolers killing it. Love seeing Coolers get on there, chop it up. Nice. Nice, Who Hames. Sounds good. Sounds good, brother. All right. This team, a 3-7-7-3. I got a Dak Prescott, stacked up with George Pickens and Jake Ferguson. Got Sam Darnold with my JSN. I started off with 4 straight wide receivers. And then also have Ty Simpson, who's probably going to be a first-round pick. So I want to sprinkle him in as my QB3 a few times. DeAndre Swift is more of my anchor running back, but I do have Jalen Warren as my number 2. Kenneth Gainwell, going to be my most drafted running back of the big board, most likely. Take him. We'll see where he lands. Could be a good spot. I don't know. Maybe he becomes another 1B, but maybe he becomes a starter somewhere. Rashad White, also a free agent. I don't know if they re-sign him. I don't really have a good feel on that yet. Adam Randall, I got to get a different click. I've taken him 2 drafts back-to-back, but it's at least fun. Devin Neal, why not? And if the Saints don't grab Jeremiah Love, maybe Devin Neal can improve on his role from last year. Emmanuel Wilson, potential free agent, and a guy that just gets the rock a few times. Can have a big game. JSN, Pickens, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith. The only pick I kind of regret in this draft, obviously I got sniped on Jalen Hurts 1 pick before I was going to take him at his ADP. But I probably should have gone back, and instead of taking Devonta Smith, I would have taken like Travion Henderson. And then the options I had later, where instead of getting Henderson, I had to end up taking I guess it was Jalen Warren. There's plenty of wide receivers in this range, like around QJ, that I think I'm just as cool with, that are similar enough to Devonta Smith on like a 1-week slate, like that kind of like outcome, like what they could have in any given week. So I might have pushed taking the 4th receiver a little bit. Denzel Boston, we don't know where he's going to fall to. I suspect his ADP is going to keep falling. But the way that I'm seeing him getting mocked early on is he's a first-round pick potential pretty consistently. So if he is a first-round draft pick in the NFL draft, he's easily going to go higher than pick 100. So to be determined. I don't know how bad his ADP is going to get before then, but I got a little fall on him tonight, and I know you guys were mentioning you get him well past pick 100 too. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him going in like the 120, 130 range pretty soon, and that might be the time to start to grab a bag of Denzel Boston. Travis Hunter, why not? Jake Ferguson with the stack. Theo Johnson, end zone target. Chig Okonkwo, because tight ends, whatever. Get the 3rd one. And that's the 2nd draft of the night. Big shout out to Pinez for the gifted memberships, for becoming a member, and for drafting with me last night. Super fun time. What a nice guy. And thank you all for being here, for being subs. Make sure you hit the like on the way out. Have a great night. Happy Friday, everyone. I'll see you in another draft real soon. Peace out.